What made you realize the relationship was over? When I got a Facebook message from another dude saying your wife is cheating on us. He thought we had one of those open relationships. Editing to add. This happened a little over 10 years ago. I got custody of the kid. I'm remarried. Great job, new house. I'm doing good. And I also laugh about it when I think back on it. Your wife is cheating on you. You can get a lot of strange messages online. But I think this one takes the cake. Amazing. Whoa. I had a similar situation happen, but it was with me girlfriend at the time. I've told the story on Reddit before, but basically my dad lives in Boston and I visit him yearly. She didn't want to go with me, which is fine, but she was mad at me for going without her. I paid all the bills and she lived with me and was between jobs for the past 8 months. So I just said fuck it and went to see my dad. First day off the trip, I get a Facebook message from a dude telling me that me had invited him over and they had sex, and he went to look up her IG and saw pictures of us. He found my Facebook and sent me a heads up. I knew instantly that our faltering relationship of 5 years was over that instant. Thank God I had my dad there with me to give me his sage advice. Just when I thought someone telling you your wife is cheating could get any worse. Who? You belong on OOSP. I was Googled how do you know when a relationship is over? And the top suggestion was you Googled it. Damn. When contempt enters the picture. Hard to explain what contempt is, but once it's there it is done for. There's nothing like having someone you had an amazing time just have discussed for anything you do. Oh, and the glare is deadly. Luckily, by the time he got there, I already made up my mind and stopped playing her victim blaming. We both had rough lives, but you cut yourself to manipulate me. Yeah, contempt. Embarrassed to admit this, but I was Googled and losing interest in me girlfriend. I was pretty depressed at the time and in a pretty bad place, so it was more in relation to that. I'm not sure what I expected Google to do about it. Anyway, my girlfriend asked to borrow my phone. I had an emulator on there and she wanted to play. The search was still up on the screen. The breakup took care of itself after that. I still feel pretty horrible thinking about it. When I was crying more than laughing. Constant hurt and confusion. Didn't feel like the love was reciprocated. This was me experience, too. It took a good friend to point out that I was a shell of me former self. That was a wake-up call. Deleted. When I found sex between her and my friend. Well, better than me. My friend in me case got her pregnant. The one you should not worry about, right? My ex-wife did this, and when I found out she said they were just joking and she was checking whether I trust her or not. I'm like, what? He kept breaking up with me and then making up with me. Broke up with me on me birthday because he was getting me undivided attention as me best friend was there, called me for 6 months after trying to get back with me. Called me a fucking weasel. His family still tries to reach out over 11 years later. You know this one. The family says stuff like, you brought the best out in him. You were a good influence. He was so much happier with you dysfunctionality. It's contagious. I had a friend. We were going to same school, same clubs. There was something wrong about him, but I tried to be civil and have a friendship. I should be able to do that, right? Once he told me he hated having the relationship with her girlfriend. It was monotone, nothing exciting. The thrill of flirting, suspense of uncertainty. He enjoyed the chase. When everything is fine, he would create an argument, fight over entry to win her back, make up to her. When she forgives him, he kisses another girl, creating drama, then fights back for her. Tries to earn her trust back. After couple years, he cheated on her. I am almost certain It was the result of increasing stress testing his relationship. She wasn't stupid but stuck in this toxic relationship. I believe he was the most functional and skilled sociopath ever encountered. I am not saying yours was one too, but constantly breaking up and getting together without any significant life changes has something bad behind it. Sometimes it is something mild, commitment issues. Sometimes it is wild, being a toy of a sociopath. It is hard to see from inside those relationships, but it is necessary to read, witness, know similar stories to be able to recognize the pattern. Good luck, random Redditor, on your journey to find love. My ex did this. Usually happened with her panic attacks, which she said she did have for a while. I'm afraid we're not going to work out in the long run. You are the best and thanks for putting up with and being understanding about my depression once her brain chemistry was on the upswing a few days later. It was a mind fuck, and as good of a team and couple that we were, it wasn't going to work. Because she kept thinking that and making it become true. In me opinion, no married or committed couple knows they're going to work out in the long run for sure until they're old and gray and reminiscing. Even in their 70s, couples have gotten a divorce. I realized that I would care if he cheated on me and would have been quite happy if he left me for someone else. I felt trapped and didn't know how to leave at the time it. Whoa, this is by far my most popular comment on anything. Lol. We have a child together and share custody, so he will always be in my life, but it's still better than having to walk on eggshells in my own home. I'm very sorry to those of you going through this now. I hope you find happiness one day. This one. I found myself wishing he would do it in one of his episodes so I had a reason to leave that other people could see. Everything awful was behind closed doors, but if he cheated, I could get out and no one would question me. How did you end up getting out? If you felt trapped or wanting something to happen, how did you actually go forward from there? Or asking for a friend? Same here. I would hope for him to start seeing someone else. He would go out to the bar and I knew it was with women and hoped he would find someone nice. Then realized, yeah, time to ask for a divorce. Not fair for either of us at this point. I wish him the best. He's an amazing man and deserves someone to cherish him. Sadly, that person is just not me. When I started fantasizing about what it would be like to be completely alone. Sometimes this can just be an indicator that you are not spending enough time with your own friends or doing things on your own. I've been with me for almost 10 years and can tell it's time for me to take a little break from her when I start getting snappy or everything she does annoys him. I did his too. Towards the end of me 15 years relationship, I would get sad and get the urge to just run away to a different country. When things were crumbling between us more, I would make plans in my head for the stuff I would pack and get in me suitcase when I leave. One day, I bought a brand new lip balm to take with me, and that purchase marked the beginning of the end. I knew then that it's more than a fantasy. 4 years later, I am now divorced with an amazing. I am amazing with 4 years there. The lip balm expired untouched, but I still have it in a cupboard as I'm meant to. I think about that every day. When I finally learned to listen to her actions, not her words. Fuck. This is kind of a devastating realization. Did learn this till it was over. I kept saying she's not well. She wouldn't do this. It took me best friend yelling at me, but she is doing this. She's showing you who she is now. It's not who you thought she was. That's a rough one. You end up very confused for a while, gaslighting yourself to preserve your idea of them. Man, I was the other way around. I actually started listening to her words. She told me exactly how she felt during an argument. She only wants me around to pay bills and wants to fuck other men. Yeah, am moving me money and about to leave. It took me 11 years, but I finally realized the man I loved never even existed. He's a covert narcissist who was devastated. I was trying to describe my ex to someone and struggled. I came up with I don't know who she really is as a person, but I don't like the actions she takes. Yeah, it hurts so fucking bad too because we wanna believe what they said was true. I'm coming to this realization too. It lost most of my friends. My anxiety was always getting triggered. She yelled and screamed at me every day for 2 years, and when the beatings started, I realized the last good week we had was when we got married. Did therapy and got myself back on track. Now I'm dating me best friend and she makes me feel like Akim. I spent years being told not to date me best friend, that it would ruin what we had. 13 years later, after 8 years of dating, he was getting his fit, so other priorities we are engaged and never been happier. All those people were very wrong. Date your best friend. My ex, who was a major control freak, worked for an attorney. As a tool to get her way, she would prepare divorce papers and bring them home. The third time she pulled this, I signed them and made her file them. Game over. I worked with a guy whose ex constantly threatened divorce. One time he told her that if she threatened it again, he'd file himself. She did. He did. My ex called my parents to get me to stay after he made me sign divorce papers. Salma. I dated a woman who blamed me for literally any problem she had. Peanut butter out. I'm overeating. Internet outage. I picked a bad internet company. Ets. I had already had enough when she broke up with me to try to teach me a lesson, but I warned he that if she tried that again, that'd be out the door. 2 weeks went by and we were out of soda. She broke up with me again to teach me a lesson, and I refused to take her back. As I was packing, she attacked me with a knife. I barricaded myself behind the bathroom door and dialed 911. She ended up stabbing herself several times and tried to blame it on me, but the cops knew better considering the situation and my defensive wounds. 26. Year. Old me learned a lot of lessons that day. What was she so desperate to get that it was more important than your marriage? Called her bluff. How did she respond when you wanted to sign them? You signed divorce papers she or her lawyer, not yours, had prepared. My ex-husband liked to threaten me with divorce. Well, as per him, it was not a threat. He just liked to say things like, if you do this or that, then it is impossible for us to live together, or we should be together, and other such things. I count this as a divorce threat. Once fine day I just straight up asked for a divorce. He was shocked and was like, where did this come from? Surely we don't have any issues. My ex would bully me by insulting me and calling me names, and said I lacked communication, but in reality I was just scared to say anything that might make her mad. She used to both directly and indirectly threaten to break up, which was also a reason why it just shut down during confrontations. I just didn't want to make her mad, you know. Few weeks back, she gave me a lot of shit while on a call, talked about breaking up again just to get me scared and thought she'd get away with it. I ended the relationship with her. She broke up with me 6 times before that, but you know, love is blind. 1800 call my bluff. Call you. When her sister called me and said, "You're a really nice guy. and I like you. Remember Jason? You do. Ye well. She's fucking him in the other room as we speak. That's pretty much when I knew. Props to her sister though. I hope you are okay. My wife told her brothers that her bro was cheating. Girl was smart, hard-working, and had high dreams. My guy would fuck around, transferred schools so he would not be near hisself, would bring home different girls every month. Last straw was he screwed this new girl, then rode out into the night to sleep with his ex to assist him in his schoolworks. My wife quickly called her and told her everything had been doing. He rode his motorbike for 2 hours only to be told to fuck off and broke up. Lolly ruined me cousin's marriage because I texted her husband who he liked more than her and would trade for her in a heartbeat, and I asked him if he was doing okay and that he was still a part of my family and that we loved him. He asked me what I was talking about and I sent him the picture of her kissing another man. I feel horrible because he was so hurt, but am relieved he knows. My one had a Jason too. Sorry dude. Sister's a real go. Swap her sister for mutual friend and fucking for handjob, and you've got how me first relationship ended, including the dude being named Jason. She tried to get back together with me the next day, told her that a snowman had a better chance in hell. Spent the rest of me junior year having her randomly sing Frosty the Snowman whenever she passed me in the hall. She told me I should be happy my dad died because it got an inheritance. Hey, at least she didn't get your inheritance. Sounds like that might have been around the corner. He made me feel more lonely while we're together than if I were to be single. I was in a car accident, and he picked me up, immediately drove me to work, and then ignored me the rest of the day. Didn't how he was. Didn't express any sympathy. I would have gotten more compassion and care from a stranger. Hell, my brand new coworkers were more concerned than he was. I stuck around for far too long after that. I said this to her and she got mad at me. She then tried to guilt trip me for making her feel bad that I don't see her for weeks at a time. She's only one town away and it only takes 20 minutes to get to each other's place, but that was too much effort for her. This is how I feel currently. He goes to work, comes home and gets on the computer all night and is on it from morning to night on weekends. Just playing games, watching YouTube, or gambling. And says he doesn't have the attention span to sit and watch something with me. Or goes straight to the bar or casino after without telling me and lying about it even though I can see his location. We just got a puppy now 11 weeks and has a Yeti, and he doesn't help at all even with his own 4 yogs and our 2 cats. Leaves socks and clothes and dishes, beer cans everywhere for me to clean up after. And makes me feel guilty for not working full-time on top of doing all of the cooking, cleaning, and animal care, which is all 10 times more and harder with a new puppy even though we move every 2 years for his career. I don't have a car, my license expired, and he won't let me retake the test with his car. I feel stuck, exhausted, and lonely AF. Edit. I spellbaited it too. I'm so busy with a sick puppy, so I'm going to update to as many responses as possible on. I don't have family to run home to. I have a mother and stepfather, but they are just as toxic and we're basically 2. Yes, he works full-time and I'm home, so I don't complain about your usual housework. But I'm also not his mother, and taking care of a puppy is almost like taking care of a baby or toddler. It's a 24 or 7 job, especially when they're sick. And I have worked full-time and have been expected to still do everything else. 3. If your license expires in a state you are no longer living in, you are required to take the written and driver's test again in that new state. 4. I want rehome me animals. They are the only thing I have that's good to wake. up to, and they were very well taken care of by my five. I have a 3-week temp job coming up that'll help me get a car and license. It's not like I haven't tried. There's just always an obstacle. I couldn't even think about trying to find a way to get me license until I found a way to get contacts or glasses. I'm legally blind. I don't get insurance from states I live in because I usually don't live in them long enough to qualify. I have nowhere to go besides a woman's shelter and am not being physically abused. I have been a lot, but not where I am now, and I want to use their resources when I can take the pain of loneliness and exhaustion until I figure a way out. One of my friends is in a similar place right now. Not a good thing to watch. Happy Cake Day. I'm new to doing this Reddit stuff. That means it's your birthday, right? Happy birthday. It's me mother's birthday too today. Hope you had a wonderful day. As a bartender I know likes to say the only thing worse than being alone is wishing you were. I feel this. My soon-to-be ex-wife pretty much checked out a year ago. Would work 14-hour days, come home and just pass out. Didn't want intimacy or to really spend time with me or me son her stepson through marrying me. Honestly, by the time she told me she wanted out, I was pretty much at the point of fuck, fine, this thing has been over for a year and you did want to try and fix it, suggested counseling. She refused. I moved on and met someone way better after taking some time to process things. Way happier, with a way better partner who actually wants to be with me and has been through divorce at herself, so knows the shit I'm going dealing with. Same, I thought me mental issues would be worse if I left her, but once we were done I went on vacation and cleared my head and felt much better. The reason I stopped doing all-night stands. Never felt more lonely than laying in bed next to a stranger. I was happily married for 12 years. No relationship issues at all. Fully in love. Faithful to her since day one. Then I got engaged. That's when I knew. I'm sorry, man. 12 years is long. Awful. Hope it's at least treatable. When I realized, I only smiled, laughed and had fun when he wasn't around. When he was, I walked on eggshells so he would get mad. Edit. Whoa, I'm surprised and a little saddened that this has gotten so many responses. If your situation is similar from either perspective, there's no shame in walking away. Prioritize yourself and your mental health to help put you in a healthier situation. I'm living this right now. Yep. I remember laughing with someone and then crying because I realized how free I felt not around him. I had known for months the relationship was dead for me, but that gave me the strength to leave. I told him I was going to go see friends, a big no-no, and turned off my phone. When the movie was over, I turned it on. He told me we needed to talk. I went over. He dumped me because I was being selfish for needing anyone but him in my life. When I accepted the breakup, he snapped. He was just trying to push me down so I'd go back to doing what he said. Nope. Walked out and never looked back. All because someone offhanded made me laugh, and I realized how long it had been. Same, but she. And we were married. She didn't want to see a marriage counselor, so we got a divorce. To add to this, her mood ruled the house. If she was miserable, every was going to be miserable. Once every was on edge, she'd flip a switch and everything is great. Why is everyone so touchy? I'm going out. I didn't even realize. It took someone else to say you're always so much happier and more talkative when she's not around to make me see how much I walked on eggshells around her because I was terrified of her temper. I feel this so hard. Then when he came to me, said we have to talk and told me he wanted to be with someone else. And I felt relief. The topics of conversation about which I felt comfortable speaking with him by then were work and our children. Everything else was off limits. This is the worst. "I'm glad you are out." The night he told me that I was no longer allowed to drive anywhere by myself, that he would keep the keys and I would have to ask him to drive me places so he knew where I was going and who I was with. I was gone, and the next day after 16 years said it. Whoa. Never, ever thought anyone would even read what I posted. I am tearing up right now from the support. For a moment I thought I was reading the synopsis for some indie horror movie. For some indeeding, I for a moment though. Was there some reason he might have acted like that, or did he just go ham all of a sudden after 16 years? When I decided to not text her to see if she would ever start a conversation, and did not text me for an entire month. Whoa. I did this to a few of my friends. Haven't heard from any of them for about 10 years. Not sorry, honestly. Something similar here. We were long distance. I asked to make sure that the dates I was going out to his place next were still good. He was going through some serious shit and he asked for a day to confirm a couple of things. No problem. About 5 minutes later he said he would call me right back, so he waited for the call. For 3 weeks. Finally had enough and told him I was done. I had been pretty miserable for a long time. We were together off and on for 15 years, and I finally grew a backbone. He's still calling to get back together. Nope, I'm done. She told me to get the fuck out and never speak to her again. Damn, that's what me ex did too. Except 10 minutes after screaming at me to get out. When I had me shit packed and was getting ready to step out of there, she goes, "Why are you leaving now? You have 2 weeks left before your bus comes to pick you up." I stared at her like she had just sprouted a set of toes from the end of her nose. Well, let's see. I kinda want to get back home in time for the big grass growing tournament. Then there's this high-altitude submarine race I signed up for. Oh yeah, and there's this minor little fact that you fucking screamed at me to get out and said I repulse you, so I'm goddamn outta here. Then came a truly spooky and frightening moment. I did not say that. I did not say that. Stop twisting me words. Creepish. Most indubitably creeptaculous. When I was explaining to a friend why I was still with them, and all of it was, "It's me fault I did too much for them, so I have to show them how to live on their own now" type stuff. Their response to me was, "Shouldn't it be more on the road off? I love him so much I want to be with them." I've definitely had relationships I extended past their expiry because of guilt more than anything. If your heart's not in it, get out. This so much. And them not learning, so you give more time. Next thing you know, you've bought a house and are married. The longer that there's a wait, the more intertwined things become and the harder it is to leave. Spent months homeless or couch surfing because it could carry forward any longer. Didn't want kids to become a factor. After leaving, received many texts and emails talking about had I only waited a few months more they would have been better. I started anti-anxiety meds and my ex-husband immediately wanted me to get off of them because I started seeing his emotional manipulation for what it was, instead of getting caught up in the anxiety and just quietly going along with whatever he wanted to make it easier. He would get me all riled up on purpose and then turn around and say that I'm unstable, because how can I react like that after he just spent like 30 minutes doing the most juvenile stuff to get me to that point? I mean, like put hands over his ears and go la la. Tell me to call me tits after he did something either neglectful or hurtful. He would belittle me feelings and tell me to deal with it because nothing's going to change. Before my meds, it would basically just be the okay face meme. Once I was on my meds, I stopped reacting the way he wanted me to, and he kept getting angrier and angrier. He kept escalating his manipulation until one day, after a fight of him telling me how badly he wanted to leave me again. Usually he starts calling apartments in front of me while I sob for him not to break up the family. I told him go if he's so desperate to leave. I went out to dinner with my dad and I came back to the house full of boxes and him locked in the room. I did talk to him because I knew this was another manipulation tactic to try and get me to cry. I did cry instead. I called my mom and asked if I can come sleep over there. He drove me because he said that if I took the car this was going to work, which obviously meant him leaving. Right before we got to me mom's, he flat out said that he has an apartment in a different state 12 hours away from me family and any sort of support I could have, and asked if I was coming with him or not. I said no. He said then goodbye. Threw everything out of the car onto the driveway of my mom's house and screeched out. He left at 5:00 the next morning, and I didn't accept any of his calls or texts for a week. When I finally did, he had the nicest tone on telling me that he never left me and that this was a business trip that we had talked about. Again, if I was off my meds, I might have believed him and doubted my own sanity. But I knew for a fact we had not talked about it, and all of his actions the night before proved otherwise. Also, he stole me computer. To this day, he blames me medicine for why our relationship is broken. In a way, he's right. My medicine was the only way I was able to see the abuse for what it was.